Uh, Good morning. This is about 8:30 a.m. and I'm walking in the middle of the Tarra-Bulga National Park in Victoria. It's a bit of a break from my normal hectic schedule, and I'm the only person around for probably miles around, and you can hear the birds, and it's a beautiful place. You can see the lovely trees in my background as I walk through an amazingly beautiful forest here. I just thought I'll again come back to my main old point, which is about the fact that we have a completely broken system in India, and if we were to only do the necessary changes to that system, we would find it an amazingly beautiful country, just like this one, in fact better in many ways. Here every single place has been developed. Now, for example, I come to this place. I'll just show you the thing. I'll turn around. You can see the thing in the background here. So here is the thing. Sorry, where does it look? Yeah. So on my background, you can see now that this is the I don't think you can read it now in the background the way it works, but there's a proper signage, and you can go to the various places. There are various trails. People can go, for nearly 100 kilometers if they want in this area. And I'm going to take the suspension bridge, which is about 800 meters from here. And I will record the entire walk just out of curiosity. And also for, it's an opportunity for me to have a quiet chat with people in India when no one around here to listen, and I can get the beautiful natural environment, which is amazingly difficult to find in the middle of Melbourne city. So I was talking to Frank Jurgen Richter yesterday, the guy of the Horasis, the chief executive officer. And it is becoming clear that these guys have done some research and have identified my participation as being significant, and also they've agreed to the idea of having a special session on governance and policy, and I will send them some comments about this particular thing as soon as I find time when I get back from this walk and back to Melbourne. What I think they've realized that India is not going to succeed if we are unable to sort out our fundamental governance issues. So this is getting really deep forest, beautiful, lovely trees on the side. Amazingly beautiful, actually. I think I have to come here many more times. This is a fabulous, unbelievably beautiful walk. Okay, so what we're seeing here is that in all parts of the world, people have paid attention to the underlying incentives of human behavior, and that is exactly how people, are going to behave, the way you incentivize them. So what's happening in India is that we have, number one, I explained to Frank how politicians are 100% corrupt. There is no possibility, no matter how honest you may appear to be on the surface, like Manmohan Singh, but basically you have to support the corruption of the political parties. And I mentioned about Nandan Nilekani and how this man has been supporting the corrupt parties and unable to, get good liberal ideas into India and to support them in any way. Hopefully there will be some people found in Horasis who will support freedom, good incentives, good governance, because everything at the end of the day in our public life, public goods as you call them, security, including security, justice, these cannot be provided by individuals. They need a government. So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that we need a government, and I'm not an anarchist by any means of the word, any stretch of imagination. I understand that a lot of things can be done in markets, but they need markets to be created by the government, to be supported, to be regulated, to ensure that there is no cheating, which is chronic in human behavior. Now, if the private sector cheats, explain to me how you imagine that the government sector will not cheat you. Explain to me. How do you think that the bureaucrats sitting out there or the politicians sitting out there are so saintly and that they will not bother to cheat you? I'm afraid they will cheat you. They will cheat you through and through. This is exactly what is going on all over the world. And The way that you prevent that from happening is not by preaching, but you set up incentives to minimize that from happening. And I explained the idea of participation constraint and incentive constraint. A participation constraint is a minimum amount of return that your person can get just to participate in a particular process, and that return has to be sufficient to motivate somebody to participate. Now, I cannot even participate in the Indian electoral process because there is the participation constraint is much higher. I have to squander a lot of my money and take a lot of gambles in order to get into the system in the first place. So we talked about state funding of elections as a potential solution. And then we have the incentive constraint. So why would I, even if I were to get, a state funding, why would I bother to get elected if I'm going to be paid so poorly that I can't afford to buy even a simple, cheap mobile phone like a Moto G that I have, which I buy as a kind of middle class man in Australia? Why would I do that? So the salaries have to be sufficiently interesting and attractive enough to attract people into the system. Good people, or what do you call it, competent people with some understanding, a deeper understanding of the economics and the governance system. Now that exactly is these 2 points, the participation constraint, the incentive constraint. These are the incentives that influence a particular design of a principal agent problem. And that is something very widely known in economics, but unfortunately economists apply it largely to the private sector, and they don't seem to apply it to the government sector. And the moment they apply it to the government sector in India, they will realize that it's completely skewed. And so you're guaranteed to get corrupt people, you're guaranteed to get incompetent people. And even if you get some competent people in the beginning, like some of my batchmates in the IAS, they quickly wear away. They lose their incentives to become better, to learn new things. And so at the end of their life, they've contributed basically nothing to India in any form or shape. So, these are the kind of things that I was talking to Frank about. And these are the kind of things I will talk about in the Horasis conference. And I will try to explain to the people of India who attend, and the ones who are so-called well-endowed, business people and others, that look, if they want to get these kind of things, they need to really pay attention to the details. They do that for their own businesses, but they need to do that for the governance system as well, because a good governance system makes a huge difference to their prospects, both as investors in India and for foreign investors in India. So currently we know how Indian investors are being forced to actually take the money outside India. Nobody is willing to invest in India. And of course, with the chaos that Mr. Modi has now implemented recently with his demonetization, it goes without saying that there is a very significant issue going on in India. It will be very difficult to get capital investment in India happening under these circumstances, where absolutely third-rate, third-world, chaotic and ridiculous, unplanned policies, unconsidered, ill-considered, ill-organized, all that stuff being created by incompetence, basically. That kind of policy, if these are implemented further in India, expect India to really fall back on its knees once again, as it has been for the past 70 years, with a small little window opening after the forced liberalization of 1992. Now, these are the kind of thoughts that I sort of outlined, and I explained to Frank why in India government is 100% corrupt. There is simply no hope. There is no hope under the current system. So these are the kind of ideas I hope that I will explain to people in the the Horasis conference. But also I want to explain to people right now, and I keep explaining for the past 20 years, hey guys, get your act together. This is not very hard. You really need to understand the basics of governance, the basics of incentives, and you do that in your daily life. Everybody does it in their daily life, and they understand. Now, if you were running a private company, this would be natural to you. This would be like something you do on your own without further thinking. Now, here is that beautiful suspension bridge. Now, I have come to this bridge, and I will now walk across. Is this the one? No, it's actually down below. There I can see the one, it's a bit down below. This is not the suspension bridge, it's still the pathway. And we cross a bit of a river on a suspension, a beautiful suspension bridge. I can see it's not one of those bamboo suspension bridges that you get in Arunachal Pradesh or something. Alright, so now we are coming to the little, where is it? Is it a bend? No, it's not a bend. Keep going. So, dear friends, whoever has got the time and patience to be here after 10 minutes of my chit chat, look, it's not very hard. The point that I've been talking about for 20 years, I've written my book. I also gave my book to Frank. I've got a few copies left, not many copies, but I gave it to him. I said, Frank, have a read. I like the idea of a person. Frank said that he has done some research and identified me. Well, I'm glad that somebody is doing some research, because it appears that in India there is no capacity to do even the basic research. And so we have this chaotic bunch of people who are repeatedly told basic things, and people, I'm sorry about Gurcharan Das. I mean, he's read my book, and he's supposed to have recommended my book. In writing, he has given a recommendation. It's published on the top of the cover of the book, and yet he doesn't understand state funding of elections as a solution to the incentive problem of participation, the participation constraint that I talked about. In fact, I invited him to a workshop in which I held in Delhi for 2 days, and he attended for half a day in the first day, and I explained this to him, and I explained things to him in Melbourne. I explained things to him when he came here. I've met him repeatedly across in India on so many occasions. Oh, look at this gorgeous view. Now I'll just turn around so you can see a little bit of that. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Look at the suspension bridge, which I'll be crossing shortly. And look at the views around this place behind me. And you can see that it's just a valley, a beautiful valley of fern trees. A gorgeous, amazing place. Definitely need to come again. My parents are coming here in December. Hopefully I'll bring them along as well to see this place, because I haven't seen this place earlier. It turned out to be rather beautiful, actually. Okay, back to the Gurcharan issue. So we have these intellectuals of India who have been sort of, who sort of don't want to understand. I mean, I can't explain why would Gurcharan not understand this basic point. And he has written in his recent article that he opposes state funding. And I wrote back to him, sorry Gurcharan, how do you expect people like me to even contest elections? Tell me, explain to me. He's not responded. And I really don't know. I mean, if people are going to be acting in this manner in India, that, they themselves become the obstacles to India's future. They sort of intellectuals, they're sort of well known, they come on TV, they talk a lot, and they write a lot, and yet they don't think. And when they don't think, guess what? India is going to remain in a deep mess. I'm sorry about that, Gurcharan. You're a good friend, but unfortunately, this is not the way we're going to succeed in India. Okay, we are reaching the suspension bridge, I think. Hey, yes, it is the suspension bridge. It's the most beautiful, amazing place. A little nook here when it starts, and then you go to the suspension bridge. Remember, I'm actually probably the only person around. I am the only person around in the car park. There's nobody in the roads. I came very early. I'm probably the only person now on the suspension bridge. Oh, it is unbelievable. Look at the beautiful place. I cannot tell you, you have to be here to see this. Oh God, look at this lovely ferns everywhere. Unbelievable beauty of this place. I've seen a lot of beautiful places in Australia. This probably ranks pretty much near the top. It's like amazingly lovely little place, and nobody knew about this. Well, I didn't know anyway, and so now we are here, and I've come here, which is great, and I will walk for there's another visitor center after 1.4 kilometers. Okay, let's go and visit the visitor center. And once I've done the visitor center, now which one do I go, up or down? Go up. Yes, go up, and then there's 1.4 kilometers. Then I come back, so a total of about 3-4 kilometers, I suppose. 5 kilometers as a good 1.5 hour walk, and that is good enough for now, for today. It's a lovely little place. As you can see, I'm going up the little hill, and bing 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 up the little hill here. It's very high, climbing. Now it's going to get tiring to talk, but people, here we are back again. If you're interested, still holding on to this particular little video, which I hope to put up on YouTube sometime tomorrow, or today or tomorrow, I suppose. Guys, get your act together. It's not very hard. Got to step back and think about the basics. Everything starts from the beginning. Nothing ever comes from in a miraculous manner from the top. There's a thing called gravity. That's how things fall to the ground. There's a thing called incentives. That's how people behave. All right, I'm going to actually now stop, because it's getting quite steep, and I need to keep moving slowly and steadily up the hill. And therefore, I will now pause. Maybe I'll resume later this talk. In 15 minutes, that's pretty good enough. I've provided you a bit of a view of my little talk here, little holiday here, what I'm doing, and then I'll talk more about it on my blog as I post this. Okay, and maybe some more comments later. All right, bye.